AI has transitioned from being just another technology conversation to a boardroom conversation. The challenge is most executives don't speak the same language as their security teams. They hear terms like model poisoning, prompt injection, but what they really want to know is, what does this mean for our business, our revenue, our customers, and our reputation? Welcome back to the Virtual CISO, where we help leaders focus on what really matters when securing innovation and building trust. So, why do the board need a different lens on AI risk? Boards and executive teams aren't meant to be AI engineers. Their job is to set direction, manage risk, and protect shareholder value. What this means is AI risk must be translated into business outcomes, such as regulatory exposure. Non-compliance with GDPR, EPA, or AI-specific regulations can lead to fines, sanctions, and delayed go-to-market. You also have reputation and trust. A biased algorithm isn't just a technical bug, it's a headline waiting to happen. Also, we have operational disruption. Dependency on third-party AI vendors means that an outage or breach on their side could grind your operations to a halt. And we have strategic blind spot. Leaders who don't understand AI risk make decisions without seeing the full picture. This is why the role of security leaders more broadly has shifted from defenders of infrastructure to translators of risk at the highest level, the board. I have put together an analogy that describes the translation gap. Think about tech speak versus board speak. Most organizations get stuck with the translation gap. The conversation needs to happen in the language of the audience, which is the board in this case. For example, instead of using the technical framing by saying, our LLM is vulnerable to prompt injection, you can try board framing it and say, attackers could trick our AI into leaking customer data, leading to loss of trust and regulatory fines. Another example of technical framing is, our supply chain model is drifting due to poison training data. Instead, use the language the board understands and say, our product decisions are being influenced by corrupted insight and we may not notice until revenue suffers. When you are in the boardroom, the goal isn't to downplay technical details. It's to anchor it in risk categories leaders already understand, such as financial, legal, operational, and reputational. And if you're in leadership, you don't need to know the mechanics of transformer models, but you do need to know where AI touches critical assets such as customer data, decision making, and compliance workflows. You also want to know who owns the risk. Don't assume the vendor will take the fall. Responsibility always circle back to your brand. Then you want to understand how prepared are you to respond, not just to technical incident, but to investor questions, customer trust issues, and regulatory scrutiny. Lastly, you want to know when to escalate. The board don't need every detail, but they do need to know when you risk cross threshold that impact growth and reputation. So how do we evolve the boardroom playbook and bring AI risk into leadership conversation effectively? You want to start by simplifying without oversimplifying. Frame AI threat in terms of business impact, not algorithms. Leverage and use scenarios. For example, you can say, if an AI-driven decision tool introduced bias in hiring, we could face lawsuits, reputational damage, and regulatory intervention. Then you want to prioritize metrics that matter. The board don't want latency metrics. They want to know how quickly you can detect and contain an AI-related incident. You also want to highlight accountability. Show where AI governance sits. Is it with a security, compliance, product, or is it a shared responsibility amongst this team? Last but not the least, you want to conduct tabletop exercises for leaders. Run non-technical simulations where executives practice responding to AI-specific crises such as bias, data leakage, or third-party outages. The key takeaway is, AI governance is not optional. If you're pitching to investors or operating at scale, expect questions like, how do you ensure AI doesn't expose sensitive data? How do you monitor for bias? Who is accountable when your AI makes the wrong decision? If you can't answer those questions in plain language, you're not ready for the boardroom. As always, I have put together some practical guidance. If you are a startup, I have a simple AI risk register that shows your top 3 exposures in business terms. For scale-ups, educate your board with quarterly updates on AI risk trends. Keep it concise and scenario-based. And for enterprise leaders, formalize AI governance structures, including accountability at the executive level. AI is a governance challenge, as it is a technical challenge, and governance always starts in the boardroom. The leaders who succeed won't be the ones who understand every model detail. They'll be the ones who demand accountability, transparency, and resilience from their team. Because at the end of the day, securing AI is about securing the business itself. AI belongs in the boardroom, but only if we can translate its risk into terms that leaders can act on. As CISOs, founders, and executives, our role isn't just to secure technology, it's to secure trust. Thank you so much for listening to the Virtual CISO. For guidance on bringing AI governance into your leadership conversations, reach out to us at info@thevirtualciso.ca or visit thevirtualciso.ca, because the real measure of leadership isn't avoiding risk, it's making informed decisions about it. I am your host, Olivia.